when we share our stories, we allow the spark or that kind of that moment of triumph or the hard part to encourage other people. And it allows people to feel not alone, because loneliness, when you feel like you're the only one, then it's really hard to keep going forward. But when you have somebody else that's extending their hand and saying, I've got you, I believe in you, I see you, and then sharing part of our journey, it creates connection and community.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Beauty in You podcast. I'm super excited for our guest today. I kind of feel like super special, you guys, that she's given me her time. Our guest today is a renowned author for her latest book known as Get Your Spark Back, where she shares personal stories and practical steps to help readers rediscover their passion for life. Welcome to the Beauty in You podcast, Rachel Marie Martin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for giving me your time. I'm like, I gotta, be mindful of your time. I appreciate
I'm grateful. I'm super honored. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, what you're doing, like you're my inspiration because I hope to one day be where you're at. But what you're doing, you're inspiring so many, you're encouraging so many, you're living by example. But walk me through how you got to this moment.
All right. Well, so what's interesting about it too, so I write the site Finding Joy. So like my life is a parallel of what I write. And the book, Get Your Spark Back, was because I had gotten to this moment in my own life where I was like, I know the reflection looking back at me in the mirror, but I didn't know my own soul again, my own heart. And it was just uncomfortable and frightening and scary. And I didn't like it. And especially because about a decade ago, I had gone through really hard stuff, divorce, getting out of an unhealthy marriage, being a single mom, and fixing my finances. And I had finally gotten to this place where everything was seemingly okay. And yet there I was, not knowing me now. I knew the me that had to fight so hard, but who was the me that needed to go forward? And so I went on this journey of rediscovering my own self and my soul and what I liked. And what ended up happening was my readers were like, how do I do this too? How do I get my spark back? That's what compelled me to write the book.
Oh my gosh. So when you tell your story, you're telling my story. I got pregnant with my son at 20. I had him at 21, which is really young. Like I look at 20-year-olds now and I'm like, I was like taking care of a little person at that time. So it's crazy. But like during that time, I was super scared. I was 10 hours away from my family. And I didn't want to go home. I'm like, nope, I'm going to get this degree. I'm not going home. Like, I can do this. But in doing that, I went into this robotic mode where I didn't really know how to be a wife, but I was being a wife. I didn't really know how to be a mom, but I was doing what I could. And I was making everyone happy. My goal then was I was going to make it to the Olympics for hurdles. I went to college for track. And all of that stopped. Like, it was just like, oh. And I tried to get back and like train. And I was just like, I just can't. This little person needs me. I'm a wife now. Later, I'll get back to it. And I found myself resentful, angry. I didn't know what self-care was. I was low-key going through depression, but at that time, I didn't know that. Or maybe I did, and I was just in denial. But I really didn't know who Chiquita was. And it wasn't until literally like 10 years ago that I started to do the work and go to therapy. And my therapist, that was the one question every day. She's like, who's Chiquita Mack? And I'm like, ma'am, you ask me this every time we come in here. I don't know. It was like the kids.
That's why I'm coming.
Yeah. Like the kids like to do this. The kids like to do that. My husband likes to do this. My husband likes to. She's like, no, what do you like? I'm like, I don't know because I don't have time for me. I don't have time for me. I don't know what that means.
I relate even more. I was like, we do have parallel stories because my oldest, I was 21 when I had her. And I did this same thing. I threw myself into being a mom and have a wife and thinking if I was a good enough wife, a good enough mom, a lot of this stuff and the hard stuff in my life would fix. And so then I started to base my worth on that, forgetting that I had worth just because I was myself and who I was. And that moment of like that question, my therapist hasn't quite said, who is Rachel Martin, but it's come across probably the same way where I'm like, I don't know.
Mhm.
And that not knowing, it can be really frightening. A lot of people get stuck because of not knowing. And they're like, I can't start figuring out, I can't start taking care of my soul until I know that. Forgetting that the first step is going, I don't know, but I'm willing to figure it out. I am willing to find it again.
Yes, it is. It's a game changer for sure because
Mhm.
once I did the work, let's talk about the work part because that was very
Yes.
hard. It was very difficult when you start being honest with yourself, like, oh,
Right.
that's me. Oh, I do that. Okay, let's unpack that. Let's do some unpacking. But when you start to do the work, it's difficult, but it's so worth it. But when you understand, like right now in this present moment, if I'm not filled, even though my cup
Mhm.
better be always filled, but if it's not, I
Mhm.
can recognize that and I'm able to communicate that to my kids. Like, mom is not,
Right.
I can't do it. I'm no longer able to do that because I'm not happy. So I really use that time to recognize, like, hey, when mom's happy, y'all happy. When, this is a good thing, but it takes a while to get there. That honesty part and unpacking, it takes a while to get there. That spark, it's there, but you got to get back to it.
You do, and without guilt. I really think as moms, we put that layer of guilt on us. Like, oh, you like I'm not a good mom because if I was a good mom, then I wouldn't be feeling this way because I would have everything in order. And without realizing when we take care of ourselves, it's the best encouragement. It's like really showing our kids what self-care is. And I give it an example, we all know the oxygen mask one, but I always say, like, if you got in your vehicle, your car, and you had to go somewhere and it was 30 miles, or your car said you had 32 miles left in it of gas, and the place you had to go was 40 miles, there's no way you'd be like, I'm just gonna make it. We are gonna coast, guys. We're gonna do whatever it
Yeah.
takes. You would stop unapologetically for gas. And that's the same way we have to be with ourselves. Unapologetically fuel ourselves, because then we not only, take care of ourselves, but we impress upon our kids the importance of taking care of themselves.
Yes. And they're always watching us.
They
They're
are.
always watching. Like, I always talk about my daughter quite a bit because she impresses me the most. Everyone's like, she's so much like you. And I'm like, she's the adult Quita, like me now, the confident me now, the person who's found her voice now. I wasn't like that at her age. I was so shy. I was so scared. I was scared of everything. Like, oh my Lord, like such a scary cat. But she's so confident and she's so bold and like, I'm gonna make this happen. And mom, I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, yes, go do it. I'm so proud of you. But that's because I had to do the work myself. They're always watching you. They're watching how you react to certain situations and what you do. And feelings was really important to me as well. It
Mhm.
was always important for me to show them, both of them, my son and daughter, that it's okay to show your feelings. It's okay to cry.
Right.
It's okay to be angry.
Right.
You're mad, be mad. I want you to feel that.
Oh, amen. Good for you. Because I think when you don't allow yourself or your kids to actually experience the emotion, you just shove the emotion in. You're not like, then you feel guilt about feeling guilt. You feel shame about feeling shame. You feel anger that you're angry and you can't actually say you're angry, versus dealing with the emotion, walking through the journey of the emotion, and then figuring out what's the next step. So that's powerful.
Yeah, it's important. If they suppress, it's going to come out. I always tell them it's going to come out one way or another. It's
Yeah.
going to come out. That's from experience. That's a little bit of life.
That would be mine too. My mother always knew, like when I was growing up, because I play the piano, and she always knew what I was feeling by what I was playing. It was like I couldn't hide it. So if I had a really bad day, I would be pounding out Beethoven. And if I was in puppy love or love, I'd be doing all these other stuff. So she was like, you had to tell. You had to tell.
Yes, I love it. And I love that she was able to even pick up on that.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Me too. Me too. I was grateful. So I must have pounded out a lot of Beethoven, I think.
Oh man, when you talk about getting your spark back, like
Mhm.
getting it back, why use, I know my definition in my head, but why
Okay.
back? Why use the words get it back?
Because I really believe we all have it. Honestly, my presupposition is as long as we're breathing on this planet, we have a spark. And we go through moments in life where it's giant where you feel like you're that girl on fire, that whole thing. And then we go through moments where we have hard stuff or we get busy and it gets small and it flickers. And those are the moments where we know something is off, or we know we're like, who am I now? Or we're missing our own selves. And that's the part about getting it back. I once had somebody ask me, would you want to teach your kids to get their spark and never lose it? And I said, no, that's perfectionism. You can't do that.
Not realistic.
Yeah, you're going to have moments and you're going to have these times where you get off track. And when you get off track, your job is how do I get back on track? And that's why that word is important to me.
I love that. It's so similar to, I say, the beauty in you, because we're all beautiful. We're beautiful souls, beautiful people. Yes. The beauty is there. It's in you. Just got to let it shine bright. Let it shine bright and show who you are. Rediscovery. It's there. We're just brushing it off a little bit, because all those things that you love to do, all those things that made you smile, all the things is there. But life, I say, life be lifing. Okay, life happens.
It does. It does. I tell people, nobody puts in their yearbook when they're like 18, graduating high school. You know what's going to be really fun is when I'm 40, my goal is to go through divorce and deal with financial problems. Yeah. We don't have that, and which is good. We have those dreams when we're 18 and all of that. But we sometimes, when this stuff happens, we're like, well, how did this happen? And it's okay. That happened, that whatever it is. But what do I do from here going forward? What do I do with this time now that I have?
Yeah, it's all about that. Embracing the challenges, the good, the bad, the ugly, loving who we are, all of the things. And I do think it's important to really focus on, it's hard to say because you want to have control. I speak from experience where in the beginning of all the things in my life, I always wanted to have control. I always felt like, because I have a planner. It's with me. Here it is right here. But I always have a planner with me, a notebook and a pen, right? Because I want to feel like I'm in control. And that was one of the hardest things, is when things happened in my life and I was no longer in control. And that was scary. Like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? So now I'm in a place to where, okay, I know who I am. I can define who I am as a person, not what the kids like to do. And I understand that sometimes life happens. It's all about how I come from that, what I learned from that, the lessons I gathered from that, and really focus on that self-reflection part.
Yeah, self-reflection, I believe, is critical. And I think our kids are getting taught it more. But when I was young, there wasn't that self-reflection. And I felt like I was one of those people that had that self-reflection, but people would tell me, oh, stop daydreaming. You're in your head. Get on with all the linear tasks. And self-reflection, sometimes it's like a linear time where you have to take the time to do it, but it's not a linear thought process in some ways. It's more, okay, you have to pull back and look at things from a global vision and try to really understand. And that doesn't fit into the box of time, checking a box, all of that. But it's just as important as all of those things.
Yes, absolutely. When it comes to our journeys, what do you feel about the importance of sharing your story with others?
I believe for most of history, we've been storytellers, and we share our stories and we share the ups and downs. And it's why we love underdog stories. It is why those are the movies we are drawn to, because it's a real story of the good, the bad, like you said, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in there. But it's also the power of the human spirit. It's tenacity and it's grit, and it's showing up, and it's loving, and it's the determination that a lot of times we don't even know we had. And when we share our stories, we allow the spark, or that kind of that moment of triumph, or the hard part, to encourage other people. And it allows people to feel not alone, because loneliness, when you're alone, when you feel like you're the only one, then it's really hard to keep going forward. But when you have somebody else that's extending their hand and saying, I've got you, I believe in you, I see you, and then sharing part of our journey, it creates connection and community.
And I think that that's important, because as we go through our life challenges, you often withdraw. Like, I don't want to be around anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just going to be alone. No one understands what I'm going through. I am the only one. That was literally my words.
Yes, yes. And I'm an introvert too. People think I'm an extrovert because of what I do and I talk, but it's that I do have that tendency to almost recoil. Like, I don't want it's self-protection, but yet it's constricting. And when you're constricted and you can't breathe and that whole thing, it's the hardest thing to dare to open up. But I've found in the opening of my story, the real of who I am, there's healing and it opens the space for bravery to change things.
Absolutely. And I'm the same way. I am exhausted at the end of the day, or if I know I have, like, I spend the day before preparing my energy level because I
Right.
know the next day I'm going to be completely depleted. But every time I feel that anxiousness or that scariness, I'm like, Quita, it is bigger than you. There's somebody out there that needs to hear your story. That's someone out there that needs to know that they're going to be okay too. There's someone out there that feels just the way you did when you felt alone. So I suck it up and I do it. And I love
Right.
it though. At the end, I'm like, yes. Then I get home and I'm like, sleep.
I know. I know. I know that whole journey, but I love that you know it because it's honoring you and you're unapologetic. This is who I am. I know what it is. This is what I bring to the table. You even know I'm going to love it when I'm there. And then when I get home, I'm going to be like, I just need to be. And when we try to fit into the box of what somebody else thinks we should be, that it makes, then we become exhausted and then we burn out and then we wonder why. And it's because we're trying to fit into a paradigm that doesn't fit our own design and honoring our design.
Absolutely. I had a guest I think last season actually, and we talked about that because she's really good at teaching introverts like how to get out there and sell. And I'm like, hey, she's going to give y'all the tools to do this, but you
Right.
have to be yourself. And there's so much connection with yourself and with the others. You cannot be anybody else. Like I encourage
Right.
everyone to get out there, do the thing, but be you and find a ways to be you. Like you have to be you. Don't change who you are. Be yourself. Be you. Tell your story. Don't think, and it's often you think, no one wants to hear my story. No, we want to hear your story. We want to know what's
True.
going on. We want to know because again, you could be changing someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. First of all, I'm going to have to listen to that episode because that's
Yes.
brilliant. But I completely agree about, I remember it was probably 20 years ago sitting in an audience, hearing a woman talk, and I was in just dire finance. It was just the worst part of my first marriage. And the finances, when you have financial issues, it's crushing and you can't breathe. And I remember listening to her talk and she did two things in me. One, she sparked hope in me. Wow. Like, okay, maybe I can change this. But she also inspired me to think, I want to do what she does. I need, that's what my calling is. And for me as a speaker and what I get to do, boy, that's like sometimes there's this gift. I feel like it's such a beautiful, I'm so grateful to be able to provide that for somebody else. And because it's powerful and changing when people share their story, because it allows the element of hope to enter someone else's heart.
And you're creating a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely creating a safe place. Your platform is safe. I go on there, I feel safe. Like I want to tell her my whole life and what's up to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I have worked very, very hard to cultivate that Finding Joy platform as safe. And I call it a sacred space online. And especially for women, I am just really strong about this, that for most of history, women have fought for a voice and we have fought to be able to, like you and me, have a conversation and we have it there. And the way that we can honor all of those years and years of fighting for a voice is to keep it in a place where we can have a discussion. It doesn't mean we have to agree on everything, but when we have a discussion, we can learn from each other and love each other and show up for each other and sit at the same table. And that to me is that's been my goal. It's been my goal to be a safe, sacred space online.
Yes. Well, you're doing it. You are
Thank you. Thank you.
doing
I
it.
get so passionate about it when I talk about it because
Yeah,
it
I
means
can
so much to me.
and I can tell, and it's important, and it comes across again. You're being yourself. You're living your truth. You're telling your story, and that's what makes it even. It's like she's not out here trying to be somebody she's not. You can literally tell, like, this is who you are. Like the
It
woman that
is.
I'm talking to right here, which is exciting, is the same way.
And well, that's my baby. I'm sure you have it too when I meet people in real life and they're like, you're exactly what I thought you were. I'm like, yes. Yes, because I don't want to be different. I don't want him to be like, wow, she is not the finding joy person.
Oh my God, it's funny. I'm laughing to myself too because a couple, or actually it was last month, there was this dinner that I
Uh-huh.
went to, and it was really it was fancy. It was fancy.
Nice. Nice.
I didn't know not one thing. I'm like, I'm so sorry. What is this?
That would be me too.
What do I eat? Oh,
Right.
I'm gonna eat
Which
this because I
form?
know what it says. And they're
Right.
like laughing, like, oh my God. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I don't know what this is. I'm good with burger and fries. I'm just telling you right now.
Yep. Yep. That's so good. I love that. Yeah. And you
But
probably actually allowed other people
yeah,
to let their guard down a little
yeah.
bit because there's chances are somebody else had no clue too.
I'm like, y'all better speak up. We don't eat this. It's okay.
That's so good.
It is absolutely okay. If you could give advice to my listeners out
Mhm.
there about just going for their dreams and being, I'm going to say, stepping into boldly into their purpose, boldly into their
Right.
purpose, what would it be?
That not be afraid to start, that time is going to move no matter what, that commodity of time, we all have the commodity of time. None of us know how much of it we get. That's the thing. I heard someone say that once and it stuck with me. And sometimes we get stuck in the starting. We get stuck thinking, well, I need to have all these ducks in a row, all these plans figured out. I need to know everything.
Mhm.
And time doesn't wait. It just won't wait. So my encouragement would be to start. And it might look like, I don't know what it looks like to start, but I'm gonna go get myself a cup of coffee today, or I'm gonna take a walk, or I'm gonna read this book, or I'm gonna go and start this class. And to let yourself be that beginner, be uncomfortable in that, because oftentimes on the other side of uncomfortable, we discover who we are again. And it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I always say that feeling, that scary feeling, like when you feel it, like, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. Okay, I
Yeah.
know it sucks. Feel that. I need to
Right.
but
Right.
push
Right.
through it.
Because yes, it's sometimes we think of it as fear. I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid. But boy, if you're not feeling that, you're in stasis. You're just not challenging yourself. And that fear sometimes can be anticipation in disguise. And when you have that and you get to the other side, there's that, oh my goodness, did I really do that? And that's so powerful.
And then you keep going.
Yes.
Keep
Yes.
going.
I'm with you. I'm with you. We could hang out.
Oh, yes, let's do it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you've been amazing, Rachel. You've been awesome. And again, I just want to thank you for being a part of my platform and sharing your special gift with my listeners. Can you let them know where they can find your book?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you. This has been super fun and I've been honored to get to chat with you. And yeah, you can find my book at Amazon or Books a Million and Barnes and Noble or your independent bookstore. They're always very grateful when you check them out.
Yes. Thank you so much. Again, you guys, I'm going to link one of the links in the show notes and definitely give you guys a way to be a part of her platform and everything that she's doing, which is amazing. She's definitely opening the doors for us and a safe space she's created for all of us. So I know you guys are going to really enjoy that. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that bell and subscribe. And if you're listening to this on wherever you stream your podcast, make sure you drop that review. All right, you guys, until next time.